It may be time to enhance your sales skills or to bring your team's skills to a higher level. Call Neal Benedict with Silverbrick Sales Solutions at 281-771-2876. Increasing your sales results is a combination of many components. Training is one of the essentials. Silverbrick Sales Solutions uses the Sandler Training Method. Neal Benedict, 281-771-2876. Are you ready to increase your sales? Find out how Neal can help you. That's Neal Benedict at 281-771-2876. The website is silverbricksolutions.sandler.com.
Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Napick. Every week we talk with interesting people in a variety of professions, and along the way, get ideas to enhance success in all categories of your life. Successful Living with Bill Napick starts right now. And here's your host, Bill Napick.
Welcome to the show, Successful Living with Bill Napick. That's me, and today, Successful Living with Neal Benedict. He is with Silverbrick Sales Solutions. Neal, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
We think about sales. It's a part of our lives. In fact, in every category in our professional lives, you are helping sales professionals year after year do better at their craft. And right now in this world, there's so many extra sales challenges. But first, as we think about sales, and I think right there, everyone knows sales is so important. If you have your own business, small or large, it is such a key and important profession. But let's tell people about Silverbrick Sales Solutions first.
Yeah, absolutely. We are a business growth advisory firm that focuses almost exclusively on the selling discipline. So we help coach salespeople. We help to create strategic plans for companies when they're considering how to sell better. We train salespeople and sales managers to be very effective in sales behaviors and sales technique. And we consistently work with sales organizations of all shapes and sizes to make sure that whatever their structure looks like and whatever target companies they're going after, they've got the best of people, they've got the best of processes, and they have the best of tools in place to be able to make sure that they've got a highly successful and well-run sales organization.
So there could be a sales individual out there that's listening and thinks, well, I might need a little coaching. That's a good idea. Fine-tune my craft, increase my sales. There could be a sales manager that's listening and has a team of maybe 5 or even 100 people out there. So all these things, you're helping many people in a variety of ways, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Our training programs are based on the Sandler Training methodology, and Sandler Training has been around for close to 60 years now. So we've trained thousands of salespeople in that Sandler methodology in all sorts of different industries with all different types of objectives and outcomes as salespeople and sales managers. So we have a sales manager class that specifically takes sales management and drives behaviors and helps them understand the key aspects of how to run a highly functioning, highly well-oiled sales machine. We take individual salespeople into our program and teach them how to execute the right behaviors, come at sales with the right attitude, and learn the right techniques to be effective in their selling processes. So we work with individuals across the spectrum, whether you're an individual contributor, sales rep, or whether you're responsible for a large team of salespeople and run an organization. We can help you both get the right techniques in place as a sales rep and also learn the right processes to use to help your sales teams be successful as a sales manager.
You mentioned the phrase fine-oiled sales machine, and there may be someone out there and their crew may not be a fine-oiled sales machine. So the fact that it's even possible, we want to bring a little encouragement out there, because that's the thing. In any part of a business, that's changing all the time, right, with conditions, and we may have someone leave the company, we may have someone in a slump, whatever it may be. The other thing you mentioned is the Sandler Method that's been around 60-plus years or so. What are the distinctions of that in maybe a bullet point or two? What is the Sandler Method?
Yeah, Sandler is a process and approach that's very systematic in the way that we look at selling. It's not complicated, but it is a process that's based on a number of steps. So we teach everything from the very initial outreach to your prospects, where you have to be very good at the bonding and rapport piece. And a lot of salespeople, for an example, will take bonding and rapport and they'll try to find simply a common interest, for an example, that they may have in place with that individual prospect, which in itself isn't a bad thing. But really, in order to develop that bonding and rapport that facilitates trust, we teach salespeople how to ask really good questions about the person's industry, the person's marketplace, the person's company, and the individual's role itself to help them understand what that person is facing as a business owner or as a leader in that organization. So we teach people not only to build rapport through common interests, but also how to make sure that you understand what's happening in that person's entire world, so that before you start to have a conversation about selling anything, you're really focused on the idea that you need to understand the client. So we start with different segments like bonding and rapport. We teach very, very common but very specific techniques around how to manage agendas. We call that our upfront contract, and how to make sure that both the salesperson and the prospect have outcomes that they both agree upon and they're both committed to through the entire sales process. Then we help salespeople understand how to look at the problems that a client is engaged with, how to make sure that there is some level of investment that needs to be made in order to solve those problems, and that we fully understand that decision-making process of the customer, so that when it comes down to implementing a solution, that we have the clearest path in order to get there. So, Sandler is just a very straightforward, systematic approach to being able to lead a prospect through how to buy the solution to their problem, and how to make it as simple and as straightforward and easy as possible through the entire selling process. We're big believers in transparency. We're big believers in honesty. We're big believers in telling the client when it's not a fit for us and that we can't help them. Just as much as we would love to tell people that we can help them, there are certain things that we just can't solve for certain clients. So the Sandler methodology really focuses on figuring that out early, figuring it out quickly, and then helping the client find another set of solution providers if we're not a good fit. So again, we're a big believer in a transparent but systematic process to help salespeople and clients achieve goals together. And that's fundamentally what Sandler is built around, and what the philosophy instills in all of our students.
And it sounds like this method is adaptable to many professions out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the diversity of the types of salespeople we bring into our programs are probably broader than just about any sales training methodology, just because of how we've built the process to be somewhat independent and almost agnostic to the industry that you're focused on. So everybody needs, again, good techniques for bonding and rapport. Everybody needs to know the right behaviors of how to make a prospect feel okay. Everybody needs to understand how to create a good upfront contract with their prospect to make sure that the prospect has the same vision of the outcome that we have as salespeople, and that if we don't, we can get aligned on that very quickly. So again, whether you're selling a house to an individual buyer or whether you're selling a software system to a large enterprise, these are things that are necessary in order to facilitate a really well-functioning sales process. And again, depending on what it is you're selling, most of what we do from a process standpoint can be applied to a very small sale or a very large sale.
And bonding and rapport may be very similar, and correct me if I'm wrong, as we think about terminology in the sales world as far as building relationships. We hear people talk about building relationships with companies, individuals, like you're saying, in terms of a one-on-one, someone that we want them to know the benefits of what we're offering, whether it's a product or a service. So we're also, sounds like we're building relationships too.
Yeah, absolutely. Relationships certainly have not gone away. Are they as important as they were maybe 20 years ago in selling? I'm not sure. I do think that there's sort of a misnomer in regards to what that relationship really means and how that relationship manifests itself as a salesperson and a prospect. I think the clear thing that we need to make sure we establish is that level of trust. And you establish trust not by necessarily being the funniest or most interesting person in the room, but you establish it by being the most consistent person. So when you say you're going to do something, you actually do it. You establish it by bringing value to the relationship, even if that value comes at a slight cost, even if you challenge my thinking at some level. That's value that you bring to me. And it comes through the idea of understanding really what my needs are. As a sales rep, I want you to understand what I need. I want you to diagnose before you prescribe. because I want you to make sure that you, before you give me any solution to the problem, that you fully understand it. And those are the aspects that, really create trust in a selling relationship. Sure, it's great to be liked, but all things being equal, it's better to establish these criteria or these foundations of trust, and that we make sure that those things continue to be built in that relationship, and that we're the types of salespeople that can be counted on, relied upon, bring new ideas, bring consistency to a relationship. And that ultimately is what facilitates the relationship, to your point.
Sales has been changing like everything else year after year. We could talk for hours about just how it's changed in the last 5 years, 10, 20, 30. But in the last 3 months, we have to, as salespeople, really be adaptable. And you're helping people now in this new world that we're in, because there's a lot of things that we think about when we think of a salesperson, a business development person, whatever the role is called. Many times that is going out and meeting people at their place is a big thing. Doing presentations at their place, in their conference room. In a real estate professional, going to a home, having a listing presentation with a family or an individual. So now we have a different world, at least temporarily, and some things are going to remain the same. How are you helping people? Probably now more than ever, your services are needed in terms of having salespeople and teams adapt to the new world as the virus event came upon us early in this 2020 year.
Yeah, it's a great question. Because most of the ability to get in-person meetings has largely dried up, the idea of being able to make calls on somebody in the way that we used to, the ability to schedule meetings at their offices like we used to, just isn't there right now. A lot of companies have not yet opened back up again. A lot of companies have slowed down the opening process. A lot of companies have decided that they are not going to have vendor meetings at their sites any longer. So the world from a sales standpoint has definitely become slightly more complicated. And because of that, I'm in conversations with with my clients today. A lot of the questions they're asking and a lot of the things that they're focusing on right now is, I've had a relatively large outside sales team, and that outside sales team just doesn't have the ability to interact in the way that it used to. So is there a process? Are there things that we can do to actually convert some of our outside resources maybe into at least semi-inside resources, so that they can take the tools and the best practices that inside sales teams have developed over the course of the last 20, 30 years, apply some of those best known methods, and become really effective on the phone. They can be really effective using virtual tools like Zoom or Microsoft Teams. They can become really effective at sending poignant and interesting emails. They can use tools like LinkedIn a lot more effectively today than they maybe were even a few months ago. So again, not to say that outside sales teams weren't doing a little bit of this as prior to COVID-19. However, you have to be much better at it today than you were if you're transitioning again a lot of your time from outside face-to-face meetings to inside non-face-to-face types of meetings. So we are dealing a lot with the question of, how do I take a resource that was very productive before, can't be as productive today, and how do we move those people into a more productive work environment and a more productive set of behaviors, daily activities that continue to drive sales. So it absolutely is a question and an issue that we are trying to work on with many clients right now.
You mentioned LinkedIn. In fact, that's how you and I met. So LinkedIn, it's interesting to see who's looking at you, who reaches out to you. This year, I've met people on LinkedIn and either had them on the show or had some sort of relationship with them. The other thing is, with anything, whether it's a good thing, a challenge, or whatever, there's good things and then there's challenges. And that is in the new world for the sales professional to maneuver in now, where they're not having the face-to-face meetings or going to offices. In fact, if you were to go to the office, the person that you want to see isn't there anyway. They're at their home doing their job. So there are
absolutely
benefits and there to this, in that perhaps in the new world, in this new situation anyway, the sales professional may have some benefits where maybe they're able to contact more people. And if they hone their skills, maybe it's the phone skill or maybe it's something else, but they're able to produce perhaps even bigger results than before. So with the challenge certainly comes certain opportunities that unveil themselves.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. If you look at some of the debate that goes on consistently between us sales professionals on LinkedIn, right now over the last 3 months, there's been this question about whether, all of a sudden, can you take an outside sales rep that has been used to doing quality calls and convert them into a sales rep that does quantity calls? And it's a bit of a logical fallacy, because there's a false dilemma being created there that quality and quantity that they're mutually exclusive, right? And what we've been trying to help people understand is that yes, the inside sales role has largely been a role that has been driven by quantity. There is a significant need to couple that with the quality of behaviors that you're doing. So a lot of what we're training people right now is not only, how do I get my mindset focused on all of a sudden, instead of making 3 outbound calls today face-to-face, how do I convert that to make 30 calls via the phone, and how do I set my mindset there? So we're not only helping people shift their mindset to say, look, I'm gonna increase my quantity, but we're teaching them to utilize similar levels of quality that they were doing before. But it's in a different environment. I've got to practice the quality call. I've got to understand what that sounds like. I got to have to understand what a pattern interrupt looks like so that I can get people to hear the message and engage with me in a medium that I'm not accustomed to or that I'm not used to, the phone, email, like I said, LinkedIn, et cetera. And we have to do these things at the right quantity levels, but we also have to do them with the right quality. So again, we're not advocating one or the other. We're advocating do the quantity activities at a very high level of quality. So again, there's really kind of a false dilemma going on out there, and something that really I don't see as something that is they're not opposed to one another. So again, you're absolutely right. How do we focus on creating that environment where all of a sudden now we've got the opportunity to make 30 quality appointments and meetings a day, or 30 outreaches a day, where as before we were only maybe able to make 3 or 4. So there's absolutely upside potential, in my opinion, that comes with being able to be in one location during your day and to utilize all the tools and technology that are currently available to salespeople. It's a great time for us as salespeople in a lot of ways.
We're talking with Neal Benedict with Silverbrick Sales Solutions. Website is silverbricksolutions.sandler.com. That's silverbricksolutions.sandler.com. I'm on your website right now, Neal. You cover a lot of things, so much more than we can cover here in these few minutes. People can get a better idea when they go to that website, the ways that you're able to help people. What are some of the other things that the sales professional is dealing with, and the things that you're helping people with right now in this new world? And if you could predict or kind of estimate, how do you see things play out, and what are the important things that are going to be, or what are the other important things that are going to emerge that we need to know about to keep 2020 strong and to finish strong?
Yeah. I mean, I think that people right now have salespeople have, depending on where you are and what market you've been targeting, people have been taking a bit of a slow approach to reaching out and prospecting at this point, particularly during the beginning of COVID, when the first couple of months of the illness were kind of we were all trying to get that underneath our belts and trying to understand what impact that was having on both us and our clients. That, the prospecting and the outreach and the ability to build our pipelines and talk to people that may have projects or opportunities in the future slowed down quite a bit. So getting people back on that process and getting their mindset correct to say, look, if I believe in what I do, if I believed I helped people prior to COVID-19, if I believed my product or service was valuable and it was something that people really needed before COVID-19, that hasn't changed really during COVID-19. Your market needs may have changed. The number of clients who needed your service may have changed a little bit, but the fact that you had value to offer prior to COVID-19 means you still have value to offer, at this point. So a lot of salespeople are still getting their mindset correct and still pursuing the right behaviors to get back into the market and say, yeah, I'm a service provider. I have valuable things to offer, and I'd like you to understand what those are. And again, much like they were before COVID-19, letting people take that message and determining what they should do with it, right, as a prospect. So, getting people back on focusing that it's really our moral obligation to bring solutions to people. And if we're not doing that, we're really not doing what we need to do as salespeople is something that, again, we're constantly facing as a challenge right now, and something I think salespeople need to continue to think through. And if I was to predict what was going to happen next, I think we are going to be in an environment for a while now. If you see the numbers in Texas, they seem to be going up a little bit. I think people are going to be continually slow walking, reopening the idea of having direct face-to-face meetings. I wish that wasn't the case, and I hope I'm wrong. But I think we have to get really good at using the sales stack technologies that are available to us. I think we need to get really good at understanding how to use traditional methods like the phone in regards to engaging with people effectively. I think we need to get back to practicing how those are going to make us better at what it is we're doing. So don't just don't think about it. Develop a process of testing out your messaging and practicing that messaging on a regular basis to make sure that you sound as relevant as you should sound when you're reaching out to people and using the tools like the phone. So I think, again, I don't think we're going to open up face-to-face meetings anytime in the next 3 to 6 months, at least not at the level that we were. So I think if you're not practicing using the technologies that are available, if you're not practicing using the phone, if you're not convinced that those are tools that are going to be the critical pieces of your arsenal moving forward, then you're probably going to be slow to get back into the market like you need to.
Neal, I'm going to make an observation, and one of the keys in sales, you are doing it very well. You are an excellent listener. That's one of the things I'm trying to do better is develop my listening skills better, but I think you have it down, and I know you're going to be able to help people with that. That's an important part of sales. We're talking with Neal Benedict, Silver Brick Sales Solutions. His website is silverbricksolutions.sandler.com. A final thought, and let's tell people how they can reach out to you.
Well, I think the final thought for me is, look, when you think about what we need to do as salespeople, right, it's unethical to sell somebody something. I might have mentioned this before, but it's unethical to sell something to someone that they don't need. It's equally unethical not to sell somebody something that they do need and that you can help them with. So we need to take the right approach every day when we get up in the morning and say, look, I need to go find somebody that I can help. Not everybody will accept your help. Not everybody will see that you can help them, but that's not really our issue, right? Our issue is just communicating with people, letting them know we've got a solution to whatever problem that they have, and let them decide what they do with that information. So that's the mindset we need salespeople to take, whether it's COVID-19 or whether COVID-19 disappeared tomorrow. And then you can reach me at neal.benedict@sandler.com. That's my email, I guess. The first name is spelled Neal. Or you can reach me at 281-771-2876, my direct line. I'm happy to talk shop. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have and certainly tell you a little bit more about what we do if that's something that interests you. 281-771-2876.
You've been listening to Successful Living with Bill Napick, and today with Neal Benedict, Silver Brick Sales Solutions. Thank you for being on the show, Neal. silverbricksolutions.sandler.com, and the phone number one more time is
281-771-2876.
Thank you all for listening. Until next week. It may be time to enhance your sales skills or to bring your team's skills to a higher level. Call Neal Benedict with Silver Brick Sales Solutions at 281-771-2876. Increasing your sales results is a combination of many components. Training is one of the essentials. Silver Brick Sales Solutions uses the Sandler Training Method. Neal Benedict, 281-771-2876. Are you ready to increase your sales? Find out how Neal can help you. That's Neal Benedict at 281-771-2876. The website is silverbricksolutions.sandler.com.